What's up, guys? Coming in today with a video that everybody could use. This one today is for all my back tweakers out there, okay? And you know who you are. It doesn't happen in the gym. It happens in the most unsuspecting time during your day or your normal life. You're stiff, you're tight, you have chronic back stiffness. It could be something as simple as just going to pick something up off the ground at home and poof, there it goes. And you're out of commission. You feel like crap, you can't move, you can't bend over, it's tough to put on your shoes, put on your socks, all that stuff. So what I want to give you today is a approach that you can use. You don't need to go to a doctor, you don't need to go see a physical therapist. This is a simple at-home or in the gym check that you could use to help provide relief and loosen up that back stiffness and tension. And so it's a three-step approach. The first thing I'm going to talk to you about is gut smashing. And so when we think about gut smashing is I'm thinking about from underneath my rib cage, right? And then also within the parameters of my pelvic bowl. So it creates this nice oval looking shape and you are free to go after any of those tissues as you do this gut smashing technique. And what I want you to understand too is that a lot of times people say, you know, if my core is weak, that's going to make my back suffer. There is some knowledge to that, but more importantly is that if my back muscle and musculature is extremely stiff and glued down and tight, it's literally stealing slack from the front side of my body. And we can use a representation of my shirt of how that looks, and then all of a sudden things get very stiff through the front, and these muscles become very tight, very stiff, and then they're stealing slack from my back, which is putting tension in the system. So there's very rarely do you ever think about, hey, when's the last time you've massaged your abs and made them feel good? So what we'll use for this is a 4-4-8 method, 4-second inhale, a 4-second contraction and squeezing of the abs, and then an 8-second release and exhale. And then what am I going to use here today? I have a simple kind of medicine ball. This could be a wall ball, a slightly deflated volleyball, soccer ball, or basketball. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, just something in a sphere shape that you can use, and not too dense. Okay, it doesn't have to be very tough or stiff. And so what I want to do is start directly underneath my rib cage from that point, and I'll lay prone on the ball. And then once I'm set, I'm going to get myself extended. So I'm going to reach my arms over the top. I'm going to let my legs stay nice and straight, put my head on the floor. I take my 4-second inhale. At the top of that inhale, I'm actually going to try and physically turn on my glutes and turn on my abs. So I squeeze into the ball for 4 seconds, and then this is where the magic happens. I need to exhale and release and allow myself to get to a relaxed state. And more importantly, allow the ball to enter into those stiff tissues of the abdominal wall. And then I just continue to repeat. I slightly move up, the ball moves down. I go for another sequence, 4-second breath in. Go ahead and turn your glutes and turn your abs on, just like you would flex and squeeze to brace. And then now release and get to the bottom of that breath. And letting that ball protrude into those abdominal tissues, and allow yourself to wiggle back and forth and move around, okay? Now, I use it kind of a standard practice for that. Is try to go for 8 sequences there. And within that sequence, I'm working from the top of my rib cage and working down the counterpart of my spine, right? Like I'm matching those two things up with the ball, and I'm getting these tissues to relieve, to open, so that I can feed slack to my back and open that up, okay? So that's part number 1. And even just after that, you may feel some really nice relief, and you may feel open again. You're going to sit taller, you're going to breathe better, and we all know that breathing relates to better posture and better function of the body. Check number 2 is going to be a pelvic reset check. And so if you went to any physical therapist, they would do this for you too as well. You can do this yourself. It doesn't require much of anything. You just need yourself, and that's it. What you'll do is you'll let your head and shoulders rest on the floor. You're going to bring your knees up to a 90-degree angle. I'm going to have one underneath my knee pit to help pull my hip forward, and then I have my other hand on top of my thigh to help push it away. And as I'm pulling and pushing, I'm also going to build up a contraction to prevent that. So I'm working against myself, and I use a breath to time that up. So I take a nice big inhale. As I exhale, I push and pull against myself, building up tension, and then release. And then I just switch the drill out. I go underneath the other side, hand on top of this side. As I exhale, I resist my own force, and I work back and forth. And I'm going to go for 4 of those at each side, so 8 total reps. From there, I can take the same ball that I used, and then I want to create stiffness and tension in this to help reset the pelvis. And so what I want to do is try and squeeze and pop this ball in between my legs, and I do the same thing. I take a breath in, and then as I exhale, I go ahead and squeeze and apply pressure on the ball. I'm going to think about popping it. And for some people, they may feel a pop or a reset in their pelvic position down below. And that lets us know that we're slightly off. The pelvis was slipped. One side is not sitting in the right position compared to the other. And that helps us realign and get back into shape. And if I'm back in line, that's going to relieve muscle stiffness, muscle tension, all that good stuff, okay? So then last thing then, now that we've taken the appropriate steps to open up my abdominal tissues and provide some slack to the back, I've reorganized my pelvis. The last piece then is to use a simple device, lacrosse ball, regular ball, and then actually specifically going after those tissues. And so I take the ball, I sneak it into my low back or my QL, and then now that I've provided some relief to this area, this makes this a lot better, a lot more polite than if I was just to do this right off the bat. And then I'm just going to simply massage my low back for myself. And I can apply that same 4-4-8 method when I do find something. Like I got something right here that feels pretty stiff. I'm going to take a breath in. I'm going to try and contract and squeeze my abs into that as if I'm bracing and flexing. And then I release. And as I release, I can use that ball to scrub into those muscle tissues and open them up. And same idea, I can spend a nice 2 to 3 minutes each side of my low back. And by the time I'm finished up with that, I've got some pretty nice relief. I feel like I've restored some function. I've helped dull that stiffness or tension that I may be feeling. And then also realize too, your problems are not gonna go away with the snap of a finger or in one round of this at all. So if the pain is still there, depending on your actual personal back issues and tweaks, you may need to do this multiple times throughout a day. Because remember, you damaged those tissues in that area. That's a strain. And those tissues have retreated and gotten really stiff and tight to protect themselves. And so you need to take the proper approach to loosen them back up and get the guard down to help that pattern out. And then most importantly, if this is something that's happening frequently for you, you're tweaking your back very often, you need to start looking at your own daily movement patterns and positions. Because that's where the issue is happening. It's not from exercising, it's not from maybe just picking something up randomly and it just happens out of nowhere. It's because of how you're spending your time and your posture and the positions you're in. So make sure you're doing your daily checks. Use this anytime you may have a tweak, and let me know how it goes for you. See you guys tomorrow.